Tino Martinez and the struggling New York Yankees look to get back on track against the Blue Jays. The key for the Jays has been pitching. Last week, reigning Cy Young champion Pat Hinkin shut out New York. The next night, perennial Cy Young winner Roger Clemens shut them down, winning his 200th game while striking out 12. Tonight, will it be the inconsistent and sometimes wild Juan Guzman or the dominating right-hander who had the lowest ERA in the American League last year? It will be Juan Guzman on the mound for the Toronto Blue Jays tonight. When he has been good, he has been very good. And when he has been bad, he has been very bad. All of that makes for a nightmare for any manager. What's Cito Gaston's take on this?
I think Juan's worried more about his mechanics these days than just getting the location and throwing the ball. And I spoke with him about it. Hopefully he will correct that tonight and give us about 8 innings.
With Joe Magrane, Dewayne Staats, welcome to Toronto. Joe, here's a pitcher who has been very good and also a pitcher who has had arm problems.
Juan Guzman's arm problems, oftentimes have stemmed from his mechanics that have got him into a point where he gets his arm angle too high and it puts a lot of wear and tear on the shoulder. The thing that Juan needs to do, especially coming back off this shoulder tendonitis, is to trust it and to let it go and not be wild in the strike zone. And I think when his mechanics do come around, he will be a lot finer.
He will be facing a struggling New York Yankee ball club tonight. The Yankees have dropped 8 of their last 10. They've fallen into third in the East. The Toronto Blue Jays at the moment 7.5 games behind the division-leading Baltimore Orioles. Tonight in Skydome, it will be the power of central fielder for the New York Yankees, the youthful exuberance of Derek Jeter, and the quality of Joe Carter for the Blue Jays. And welcome to Skydome as the Yankees and the Blue Jays open a 2-game set. This is the beginning of a 3-city road trip for the New York Yankees, and here is Joe Torre's starting lineup. He has Derek Jeter leading off, Charlie Hayes in there at third with Bernie Williams in center, Tino Martinez in the cleanup spot, followed by O'Neill in fielder, Mark Whitten in left, Mariano Duncan at second base, and Jorge Posada will bat ninth and do the catching. Tino Martinez off to that great start, but has struggled mightily over the last week to week and a half.
Juan Guzman is still trying to rebound from what he thinks is some shoulder difficulties, and he just needs to let it go. As we said earlier in the open, he's got some of the nastiest stuff in baseball. And I think you're going to be finding when he is off his game, you'll watch the catcher setting up, and if he's missing location, maybe the catcher sets to the inside and he throws the ball outside. That's a good indicator on repetitive pitches when he's doing that he's not going to have his command. He needs it tonight. And the Toronto Blue Jays defense a little bit different. Joe Carter was playing left field the last 2 nights, moves over to first base, and you see that Ruben Sierra, recently acquired from the Cincinnati Reds, pretty much banishes Sean Green into obscurity for a while. And Benito Santiago catching Guzman. Charlie O'Brien, who is a very good defensive catcher, has not caught Guzman once. Also, Tilson Brito will be trying to spell the struggling Carlos Garcia.
A big start tonight for Guzman. Pitching has been the key for this Toronto ball club. The offense has been next to nothing. So pitching and defense have been extremely important, and Guzman in that role behind Clemens and Hinkin, very important. First pitch of the game, Derek Jeter pops it foul back to first, and that's Joe Carter to make the catch. This game is underway. Jeter, last year's American League Rookie of the Year, pops out in foul ground to start the contest. And that brings along Charlie Hayes, who's getting the playing time at third base in the place of Wade Boggs. Boggs went just 1 for 10 on the recently completed homestand for the Yankees.
One would think that Wade is bitter about not playing and not getting that playing time, but he says he just hasn't played well enough to really deserve to be out there. And Charlie Hayes is out there, and a very capable replacement. Do you even call Charlie Hayes a replacement?
Hayes takes it inside, and the count is 2-0. Hayes is extremely strong. One of his stops in the National League, he parked one in the upper deck at Veterans Stadium at Philadelphia. A spot shared only by Mike Schmidt. The count is 2-1.
There you're getting a good look at Juan Guzman really finishing on this fastball, and that's a good sign that we'll watch for as Benito Santiago and Guzman hits the glove in the location that Santiago wanted.
Guzman comes back to even this count at 2 balls, 2 strikes.
The thing that's striking right off the bat, Dewayne, is Guzman looks very relaxed. He doesn't look very tense. He's not really trying to labor through his delivery. He looks very solid.
And he comes back to strike out Hayes. He looked good to Charlie Hayes. 2 up, 2 down.
And that is the thing that is so difficult as a hitter with 2 strikes. Are you going to get that nasty slider that breaks down and into the dirt, or are you going to get the fastball? You certainly can't look for the slider when you're throwing it as hard as Guzman does.
Base is empty. 2 gone for Bernie Williams. Well, it's early. Only 2 hitters, but Guzman looks good through Jeter and Hayes. Upstairs to Williams, ball 1.
Juan Guzman is a guy, because that slider is so hard and so nasty, I have a hard time telling sometimes what was a fastball and what was a slider. They both come out of the same arm slot, and that slider is, hitters will tell you, as nasty as there is in the American League.
Ground ball headed to short. Alex Gonzalez. His throw is on the money, and that takes care of New York. A perfect first for Guzman. Toronto coming in to hit. No score. Bat in the bottom of the first. Cito Gaston's club. 3 games over 500, 25 and 22. Cito has Jacob Broomfield in center field, followed by Juan Samuel, the DH. Joe Carter hitting third at first. Ed Sprague, the cleanup man. Ruben Sierra in right field. Santiago, followed by Perez, Gonzalez, and Brito. Carter in that third spot has bounced around in the order. It's just 20 runs batted in, and they expect more production from Joe Carter out of that spot.
David Boomer Wells, whether it's slam dancing or pitching, he's going to give you a hard fire-breathing effort, and he's the type of guy that can do very well against these Blue Jays with a cut fastball. He's going to be pitching in. He's going to be successful if he's pounding the ball in on these right-handed hitters. And we quickly get a look at the Yankees defense. You see Hayes in for Boggs. Jorge Posada giving Girardi a night off, who has had trouble throwing runners out, and we'll see if that becomes a story.
So Wells is all set, making his 11th start. Yankees have gone 4-6 in his 10 starts. His record is 4-3. And the first pitch to Brumfeld in there for a strike.
You know, Dewayne, you don't see this too often. We've got 2 guys that are already into the low 90s. Oftentimes we see a lot of guys in the middle 80s, especially in the American League, but 2 guys with great fastballs.
And the count is 1-1 to Brumfeld. Wells up in 87 with this Toronto ball club. 91, his best year overall when he won 15. He was 15-10 that year.
And I wonder if he wants to beat the Blue Jays extra bad. I know he and Cito Gaston did not get along at times, and that certainly could become a story.
Inside.
And the pitch is close. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Wells had an interesting take on that. Hindsight's 20/20, and he said, well, I didn't really mean that to be a negative toward Gaston. He said just a situation where I wanted to win. He had another idea about how it should be done. Oh, there's a tough pitch. And he can come in 90+ and then come back with that one and bend it. Brumfeld out on strikes.
Jacob Brumfield is a very good fastball hitter, and you can see this bender, the dispersion of the curveball. And what I mean by that, the separation between the fastball and the curveball is about 10 to 12 miles an hour, and it's just enough with the nasty break and also the lack of velocity to get Brumfield out.
Dispersion, I like that. You are a left-handed pitcher.
You know, I don't use that word very often, but I don't even think I know what it means, really.
I know I don't. Here's Juan Samuel. Strike 1.
I meant to say separation. I think dispersion means something else, but we'll have to look it up.
1 strike to count, 1 out, bases empty. Samuel out in front, 0-2. When you look up and down this Toronto lineup with the left-hander in there, some new faces. Some of the role players get a chance to play. Samuel being one, Brumfield leading off one, Perez, Brito. Wells has made quick work of Juan Samuel.
Both of those guys totally baffled by Wells' curveball. A lot of times you really have to sit on that inside fastball because you're going to get a lot of it from David Wells. But if he can get this breaking ball and that great changeup that he threw the pitch before that in play, it's going to be a long night for the Blue Jays. Look at this breaking ball. Almost leaves the TV screen and comes back down into the dirt.
That's fun to watch, not much fun to try to hit.
And I'll tell you what, we'll get into Juan Samuel next time because I have some other things I'd like to talk about with him.
Here's Joe Carter. Fouls this one away, strike 1. The Blue Jays come into this game last in the league in runs scored. They've only scored 178 runs. They're the only team in the American League not to at least score 200 runs.
That's really going to put a lot of pressure on their pitching staff. Henkin and Clemens have been doing outstanding, and sometimes Guzman has as well. But if you're not going to be able to score some runs, especially in this division that they're in, it's going to be very difficult.
There's the breakout for Cito Gaston and his offense. Just 39 home runs. The count is 1-2 on Joe Carter.
Ruben Sierra is another addition. They're trying to get some more pop into that lineup. We've talked about before, Dewayne. It's a very free-swinging Blue Jay lineup, yet it hasn't been very productive. And that certainly makes for a long work if you're a pitching staff. Guy comes, they score 1 run, and they come into the dugout and say, all right, there you go, hold him.
And I think the fact that it is a free-swinging lineup is one of the reasons they aren't as productive. This team doesn't walk a lot, strikes out a lot.
It's hard for them to put together rallies.
The 2-2 fouled again. You really don't have a lot of hitters up and down the lineup that you could term situational hitters for the Blue Jays.
Orlando Merced coming over from Pittsburgh, hoping to bolster the Blue Jays offense as well, and he has struggled so far, and I don't know if that's because of not getting used to the league, throwing him a lot more breaking balls or what. He's always been a great fastball hitter, which he sees plenty of in the National League.
And holding at 2-2. Well, they thought bringing over Merced and Garcia from Pittsburgh and signing Benito Santiago would give them a little more pop, and so far it just hasn't worked out. Doesn't mean that it's not going to happen, because all three have been good offensive players at times in their careers. So they've relied on pitching and defense. Full count.
And when you mentioned that they're a very free-swinging ball club and often undisciplined at times, and their statistics illustrate a great point by saying they're last in the league in base on balls. So there's certainly not getting a lot of rallies going with the base on balls.
Here's the 3-2. Headed to short. Jeter takes care of that with a throw to Martinez and a 1-2-3 inning for David Wells. We're headed into the second. Tino Martinez will lead it off. No score. Second inning from Sky Dome. Yankees and the Blue Jays. No score. Yankees have won just 2 of 10. They're only 2 games over 500 for the year now. And they have a 5.22 ERA, Joe, over that 10-game span. But look, they're hitting only .243 during that same time.
If you're not pitching well and you're not hitting well, those graphics certainly tell the story of what they've done in the last 10 games, and it's been abhorrent. In the dugout pan there, we got to look at Darryl Strawberry, and they can certainly use his bat back in the lineup. The Yankees, again, like the Blue Jays, don't have a whole lot of power in their lineup, and they're relying a lot on pitching.
There's Tino Martinez. The pitch is too low. Ball one. Tino got off to that great start, as you know. He's still second in the league in home runs with 18. 52 runs batted in, second there. but he's coming off a 2 for 23 homestand.
You know, as hot as he was, just making a couple of outs made it look like he was really coming back to earth. We had him a couple times earlier in the year, and just as hot as anybody has ever been.
He fouls it. So the count is 2-1. Well, he got to those 15 home runs in 40 games, and only Ruth and Mantle did it as quickly. Ruth 4 times and Mantle in 1956, the fabled year.
And Martinez is in a ballpark in Yankee Stadium which is tailored to his style of swing.
And he's ahead in the count. 3 balls and a strike. Guzman on the mound, 30-year-old right-hander out of the Dominican Republic. Won 11 games a year ago, was 11-8. Drive into center. Brumfield is there with a lot of room and makes the catch. So Martinez goes out.
Juan Guzman throwing this slider, he hangs it, he gets away with it, but the speed was enough to get Martinez to commit just a little bit, and that's why he was able to get the fly ball. That's not the good slider that you're going to see from Guzman, and let's see if that becomes a recurring theme. The good slider that he throws is going to be down around the knees and towards the dirt, and a lot of batters will be chasing.
Here's Paul O'Neill. This one is down at end, ball 1, but the encouraging thing is what you pointed out, Joe, about that pitch. It was not a good slider, but he had enough stuff on it, and that prevented him from being hurt.
Sometimes I always thought that the best pitch in baseball was the backup slider.
Right back through the middle, and a nice stop by Gonzalez, who gets up and throws him out. Fine play by Gonzalez.
That was an outstanding play by Alex Gonzalez, and the reason I chuckle is because Paul O'Neill, who frequently hits and flirts in the mid-350s, hitting anytime someone makes a good play on him when he hits the ball hard, and he says that's been happening to him a lot, he just comes unglued. Beautiful play by Gonzalez. He's fully extended and probably got some carpet burns on that dive, too.
Yes, Cecil Fielder. The pitch is too low, ball 1. Gonzalez made a great play, as you saw on O'Neill. He had a streak of 33 games without an error broken last night in their game against Texas. Fielder swings over this one. The count is 1-1.
We've seen Cecil Fielder's production drop off a lot. You would think at this point in the season that he would have a whole lot more home runs, because that's where his true value to the New York Yankees ball club is, and that's putting the ball in the seats.
The count goes to 2-1. Well, they say he's having problems getting the ball airborne. Not a good thing. He's not going to get many infield leg hits.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and I think that tells me that his bat's slowed down a little bit. And sometimes you go through streaks when it is slow.
3 balls and a strike.
But he has the count in his favor right now, certainly looking for a fastball. See, as that graphic illustrates, that Fielder has been going to right field a lot more, and that's not where his bread is buttered. I hate to make eating references in the same sentence with Cecil up there, but no offense.
Full count now. There's the defensive alignment. Scattered with Fielder up there now.
Guzman has owned Fielder so far 3 for 33 in his career.
And he draws the walk. So a 2-out base on balls. Fielder goes to first. Another sign of a pitcher struggling, particularly with physical problems, is the number of walks. And Guzman has walked a few more hitters than he liked. He's been up around 4.5 every 9 innings.
Walks, excluding the ones that are intentional, often indicate mechanical difficulties and that you're not locating the ball with consistency and repeating that delivery. We'll see if that happens.
Mark Whitten getting a start for Joe Torre's Yankees. And he takes the first pitch for a strike.
Those 4 balls that he did throw to Fielder They were all just around the strike zone, so it wasn't like he was way off base with them.
Down to third for Sprague. He'll go to second for the force on the toss to Brito, and that retires the side. An outstanding play in this half the inning to Rob O'Neill. Alex Gonzalez turns it in. We'll go into the bottom of the second, scoreless. Thanks, and here we go into the bottom of the second inning. Ed Sprague leads off for the Blue Jays, and he takes the first pitch. Sprague followed by Sierra and Santiago against David Wells. Swing skips away from Posada. Wells retired the side in order his first inning, getting strikeouts of Brumfield and Samwell. Now facing Sprague. Now right back off the bottom of the screen. Sprague playing with hyperextended left knee, wearing a brace on that knee. Got involved in a rundown a week ago. Drove in over 100 runs last year for this club. Down in the count as he faces Wells.
Seen Wells has really got that breaking ball in play. He wants to make them be very aware that he's going to throw that early in the count. If he's throwing that over for the first pitch, that really just opens up his whole repertoire to throw that cut fastball in on the right-hander's fists. You'll see him at his best when he's getting a lot of bats, breaking a lot of bats of right-handed hitters.
We'll try it again, and a little tap. Posada with the angle and makes the play. Sprague out, Posada to Martinez. One gone. That's a good look at the young catcher, Jorge Posada.
He comes out of the box quickly. The ball has a lot of spin on foul tips not on tips like this, so you want to go out there and get it early before it spins back into foul territory and get that easy out. You see, Sprague was badly fooled by that breaking ball.
And now Ruben Sierra takes one close, ball one. Sierra let go by the Cincinnati Reds. Signed on with the Toronto organization, went to Syracuse, played a handful of games there. Ground ball, and Hayes at third makes the pickup across the diamond. So Sierra's out of there. The Blue Jays are hoping to get some offense from Sierra. They are struggling so, hitting just .244 as a team. So 2 up, 2 down in the second against David Wells. Now Benito Santiago. And Santiago's numbers a bit anemic at .206, particularly off last year when at Philadelphia he had 30 home runs for the Phillies.
He told me, Dewayne, he was just trying too hard. He was just trying to really make it happen and not letting the game come to him. Again, one of the many guys in this Blue Jay lineup who is a free swinger and has showed flashes of occasional power. His catching has never been questioned. Very fine defensive catcher. Who I don't know if it was Tony Pena or Benito Santiago that brought that throwing from the knee style and made that famous.
Well, Santiago picked up some gold gloves early in his career. He's always had that great arm. You talked about pressing, Joe, and that's something so easily done for hitters on a club that's collectively not producing.
Each guy is trying to carry a little bit more than they're used to doing. And
a ball, 2 strikes the count. And that's exactly where the Blue Jays find themselves now. But in spite of all that, they're still second in the division. They thought Garcia would come over from Pittsburgh and give them some punch as well as outstanding infield play.
And we just got to look at Carlos Garcia donning glasses. He says that really gives him a better look at the ball, especially at night. There's another guy, a former battery mate of his in Pittsburgh, Jay Bell, who has done the same thing in Kansas City with great success. So maybe that's the new bit of equipment of the 90s. Glasses and the split-fingered fastball.
Down to third, and Hayes makes a nice pickup. One hops it on the turf across in time to get Benito Santiago. Hayes with a sparkling play. Through two, scoreless from Skydome. No score from Toronto, the Yankees and the Blue Jays. First game of a two-game set at Skydome. We've already had some outstanding defensive work in this game. A couple great plays, and this one turned in by Charlie Hayes.
Charlie Hayes, to look at him is to not think he's a great defensive player, but always has been very solid defensively, whether it's been in Philly, in Pittsburgh, or here in New York. Charlie's always been able to make that play going down the line.
And in that regard, he's really been overlooked by a lot of people.
Very, very, very overlooked player.
And as pretty as that play may have been, probably not as pretty as the one when he caught that foul pop off Mark Lemke's bat.
I think Yankee fans will remember that for a long, long time.
So he gets to play in the place of Wade Boggs, who has been struggling a bit offensively. Here's Mariano Duncan. This one is up, ball one. Duncan hitting .281.
And here's a guy, Dewayne, who's not going to take a lot of base on balls.
Yep. Comes out swinging through this one. The count is 1-1. And he turned out to be a key figure in the Yankee success because of injuries. He got a chance to play a lot at second base and played well. A ball and 2 strikes with that foul ball. Duncan facing Juan Guzman. Ninth start for Guzman. Struggled his last time out. That was against Anaheim when he lost 12-2. Lasted just 3 innings in that one. This one is down, and the start before that in Detroit against the Tigers, he left after he threw about a dozen pitches because of fatigue and tightness in his pitching shoulder. Liner down to first, and Carter's there. So Duncan lines to first for the first out. Coming up following our game, the Rangers clinging to a 2-game lead over the Mariners and Angels in the American League West. A couple of sluggers, Juan Gonzalez and Ken Griffey Jr. facing Darren Oliver and Randy Johnson. Bob Carpenter, Kevin Kennedy will be along in the second game of our Wednesday night doubleheader. He's familiar with that matchup. A swing and a miss by Jorge Posada. Strike one. So we got some great performers on tonight's doubleheader, and more to come. One strike to count to Posada. The Yankees are really high on him.
Very high on him. I guess the real knock on him right now is he just hasn't been throwing very well at all. But left-handed hitting catcher can take you a long way, especially with the offense that they think he's going to provide.
Brito will handle this one. 2 gone. Let's check in with Carl Ravitch now.
Hi, Dewayne. Aaron Seeley had given up a home run early to Frank Thomas, and now his teammate Albert Bell does the same. Bell's got a 23-game hitting streak. Both the Big Herd and Albert have 11 home runs this year, and the White Sox are starting to hit, Dewayne.
Wow, Albert Bell hit his right, Carl. He is unbelievable.
And the White Sox really are starting to percolate and really starting to hit. But will they be able to continue to catch the ball as they lead the major leagues in errors?
There's a strike to Derek Jeter, and boy, that's been a problem for the White Sox from day one.
Albert is certainly in there for his hitting prowess. He's not going to really set the world on fire defensively, and they have some problems in other positions that have really given them a whole lot of problems. But it sure is fun to watch Thomas and Bell. If those guys start getting hot at the same time, they can do some serious damage.
Well, the White Sox started the day 3.5 back of Cleveland. This one is foul. 2 strikes to count. And after that horrendous start, well, both teams in Chicago, the Cubs and the White Sox, struggled, and the way their division's set up now, both of them are within striking distance. The Cubs are only, at least started the day, 5 back of Houston. In the dirt.
But we are starting to get into June now.
Well, we'll see what happens.
That's what the Cubby fans say.
Yep.
Juan Guzman, command has been pretty good to this point. And that's really not a bad pitch, especially when he has the count of 2 strikes, trying to get Jeter to go outside the strike zone. Santiago, knowing that he might swing at that, does a good job blocking it.
2 balls, 2 strikes. No score as we play in the 3rd. And Jeter works it all the way out to 3-2.
I mean, one of the signs that you really don't have your good command is if you're bouncing a lot of fastballs. That's the pitch that you should have the best command with of all of your pitches, the fastball. And if it starts bouncing or going over the hitter's head, it's not good.
Down to short. Gonzalez takes the hop and makes the throw. 1, 2, 3 go the Yankees. Bottom half of inning 3 coming. We're scoreless from Skydome.
Well, last year on this day, Brady Anderson hit his 19th home run on his way to 50. Well, Brady's got 6 this year. That one puts the Orioles up 4-0. And before they could even sit down from giving him high fives, ding-dong, Rafael Palmeiro tees it up. He's into double digits, and it's 6-0 as the O's appear to be heading for double digits, Dwayne.
All right, Carl. Well, the Baltimore Orioles, 33-15. Joe, they're trying to perhaps replay the 1984 Detroit Tigers start. I'm telling you.
They are absolutely running away with it. Of course, that lineup with that ballpark as a pitcher, I absolutely hated Camden Yards. And they've got the lineup in Baltimore to exploit that. Certainly Tiger Stadium as well.
Robert Perez leading it off and takes the second pitch, lines it into center, skips away from Bernie Williams, who tried to make the catch on the sinking liner. Perez will wind up at second. A sinking liner out to center. And Williams tried to scoop it, and the ball skipped away from him.
This is the toughest play for a center fielder, is the ball hit hard right at him. It's tough to get a perception as to where the ball might be. Williams gets the good jump and everything, tries to make the great play. And normally this ball is going to get by him just a little bit, and his right fielder, O'Neill, will be back there, but the ball squirts sideways, which is absolutely the worst thing that could have happened to both of them, as they're not able to cover that ball.
And now it's not Williams, but Perez, who has come up with a little physical problem. And they will take a look at that. I don't know if it's, well, we'll wait and see if it could be a hamstring, trying to stretch that out or not. But he has the first hit of the ball game, a sinking line drive into center. And he says he's all right.
You get an ISO on Perez after he hit that ball. He's kind of Cadillacing here. Then he turns it in thinking maybe I can get 3 out of this. I don't see where he ran hard enough to pull anything there.
Maybe Tommy Craig agreed with you.
Because he didn't.
You're all right.
No cold spray, no nothing, no take a couple strides. Or
Oh, leadoff double. And here's Alex Gonzalez. Shortens up and takes a strike.
And it looks like Cito Gaston is thinking that this has a chance to be a low-scoring ball game. Instead of just letting Gonzalez try to move him over by hitting the ball to the right side, he has him bunting.
That's one thing the Blue Jays have done a lot of this year.
And that's one thing Gaston wants Gonzalez to do more of. Instead of hitting the ball, Gonzalez, it says, has it in his mind that he's going to hit 30, 40 home runs.
Flares it toward the right field line. O'Neill on the run. That's a fair ball. Perez will score. It throws back to second too late on the stand-up double. And the Blue Jays lead 1-0. Well, the Blue Jays have the first run for Gonzalez, his 8th double of the year.
That not only moves them over, that drives them in. Change-up that Gonzalez was able to really stay on. Looks like O'Neill is conceding the fact that this is going to be a double, and I think actually he thought this was going to bounce into the stands. Then he realizes that it doesn't and has to go make an effort for it.
Gonzalez at second, and here's Tilson Brito. Brito trying to bunt and is hit by that pitch. Well, Brito is in there at second base, hitting ninth tonight, hit by a pitch. And a tough stretch for Joe Torre's world champion New York Yankees.
And you got to look at David Wells kind of deviating from the King's English a little bit there. Disappointed that is very a disappointing thing as a pitcher when you know you're going to throw a curveball and you're just trying to execute with it down and you end up hitting him, especially with the base open, because all he's trying to do is move that guy over. And now he has the Blue Jays in a position where they can have a big inning here.
Top of the batting order. There's Jacob Brumfield up there. He struck out swinging on a breaking ball his first time, and Wells strikes him with a hard stuff. Throws it by him, strike one.
There was a little bit of anger in that delivery right there. When you're throwing good fastballs by Jacob Brumfield, you know you've got something on the ball because he can handle the heater.
Nobody out in the inning, a run home for the Blue Jays. The runners go. The throw down to third. Holding at first, Brito. Gonzalez steals third, and Brito is still at first.
The stealing of third is always, more often than not, going to be stolen on the pitcher, and David Wells in a little bit of trouble, a little bit of jam, focusing on the hitter, and just doesn't pay mind to Gonzalez as he takes off. And the reason why Brito did not take off is sometimes you have a signal between base runners that I'm going to steal on this pitch, but Brito wasn't able to go in behind and steal the trail base.
Gonzalez 10 out of 12 in the steal department. First and third now, nobody out. 1-1 the count to Brumfield. And Wells picks up the edge.
And that's the pitch that David Wells has to have called a strike. That boring fastball in on the right-handed hitter, just catching the front corner. Oftentimes in the American League, umpires aren't aggressive in calling that inside strike.
Over to first. Brito is back in. And the Blue Jays, a couple of doubles from the bottom end of the order. Brito hit by a pitch, a run home. First and third threats. And he got ahead of Brumfield and takes care of him for the second time. He got ahead on the hard stuff and then took care of him.
Wells was able to get this curveball by Brumfield. It is a little bit up in the strike zone, but it has such good hard bite. He's able to get it underneath the bat of Jacob Brumfield.
And there's a situation where he was looking for the strikeout, and that's the last thing the Blue Jays wanted.
The Yankees playing back, conceding, hopefully trying to get a double play and giving up the run, but Wells was able to do exactly what he needed, and that's get the strikeout. And here's a guy right here is one of the main reasons that I'm up in the booth right now. Juan Samuel. He just eats up left-handed pitching. At least that's what they say. I know he's sitting about 800 off me lifetime, so I don't miss the idea of getting to face him anymore.
You might be the reason he's only hitting .216 now. One strike to count. I'm glad you're such a good-natured guy, that's all.
I have nightmares of coming in out of the bullpen or starting a game and having to face 9 Juan Samuels.
He's driven in a couple runs on 8 hits this year so far for Toronto. And the pitch is in there for a strike. So Wells has come back. He got ahead of Brumfield and got him on the breaking ball, and now he's ahead of Samuel.
And Samuel in these two at-bats seems to be a bit confused, looking for a certain pitch in a certain situation and getting the opposite.
Runners at first and third. Gonzalez third. Brito at first. Brito is back in.
That's the one thing I used to wonder about, especially from pitching. When you got guys on in an RBI situation, I mean, why look for a breaking ball? Why look for a changeup? Look for the fastball, and it's often going to be very early in the at-bat when you're going to get a good one to hit. And Samuel took one that was pretty much right down the middle.
Back to first.
He didn't take those on me when I threw them.
Well, and the problem is if you're facing a guy with a good breaking ball, the way Wells has featured, you take those pitches, get behind, then you know you're going to get the tough stuff to hit.
Yeah, David's so far today has lollipopped that breaking ball in there on the first pitch to try to get ahead, because hitters don't want to hit a breaking ball on the first pitch, and then save the good hard biting one with 2 strikes.
The 0-2, and Samuel takes it upstairs. The ball, 2 strikes.
And with that high pitch, that reminded me, when you get 0-2, I've always been a believer of get the hitter out on that pitch right then and there. Don't bother wasting one. He was trying to change the eye fixation of the hitter by throwing the high fastball. Oftentimes, a breaking ball is soon to follow after he's got him focusing on that high fastball.
What he does, 1-2.
Oh, he went another
Up
one.
Again. Yep. And it's 2-2.
I can go higher, and I can go higher. And now I think he wants to bring it down into the strike zone. Samuel's got to look at 2 balls up and out of the strike zone, and that's what we call changing the eye fixation of the hitter. You don't want him looking into the same spot for every pitch.
2-2. He got him. Wow.
Some backwards pitching. That was great.
Yep. Wells came back and got him with the hard stuff.
And that's Samuel in these 2 at-bats tonight has been befuddled by the pitch selection. He still looks to be sitting on breaking ball a little bit and was able to get that fastball by him up and in. There's not too many right-handed hitters who hit that pitch successfully. Let's see if he changes his attack the next time up.
Wells has struck out Brumfield twice and Samuel twice. Those 2 hitters for the year struck out 26 times this year and have walked only 4 times between the 2 of them.
2 glaring things. They're not getting on and setting the table for the boppers later in their lineup, and that really makes it difficult to get anything going.
And here's Joe Carter, strike 1. And here's a typical situation. The Blue Jays get a double to open it, a double to follow, score a run. The hit batsman, and now 2 strikeouts.
And Joe Carter has always been known as a professional RBI man, ability to drive in runs with 2 outs any situation, but he has been struggling so far in a situation where he normally excels.
That's out of play. And quickly, Wells is ahead of Carter, 0-2.
And it's a great scouting report that David Wells has on Joe Carter that we all knew as pitchers, that Joe Carter loves to swing at the first pitch. Always loves to try to put the first pitch in play. And that's great if you're going to get fastballs, and it's a great approach, but sometimes when Wells threw that changeup, he was able to get ahead of him. Well executed.
Here we go. Off the plate end. A ball and 2 strikes. Blue Jays have a 1-0 lead, and even though they've grabbed this lead, if this is all they get, it's going to be a frustrating inning for Cito Gaston and the Blue Jays.
You would have thought, Dewayne, that they had opportunities to score a lot more, although they're not done yet.
Carter sends this one high and deep to left. Way back goes Whitten, and that will score them all. Joe Carter doing what he does best, drive and run.
And that will certainly be a panacea for an anemic offense as the 3-run homer. A lot of teams, especially Earl Weaver teams of days gone by, that made their living off the 3-run homer, and gives Joe Carter a chance to get some confidence back as David Wells didn't execute on that 2-2 pitch.
5th home run of the year for Carter, giving him 23 runs batted in. He had Sprague pulling off and swinging and missing. Strike one. So Carter hitting the 40th home run of the year for the Toronto Blue Jays. And they have a 4-run inning.
And with the Blue Jays not scoring a lot of runs, Sprague and Carter are two of the guys that are going to have to pick up a lot of slack. And it's certainly going to, it's certainly going to help them out a lot when the guys before them end up getting on.
And he picks up Brumfield and Samuel in a big way. 9th home run given up by Wells. Fouled, and that's going to be out of play, holding the count at 2 strikes. Wells has given up more home runs than any other pitcher on the Yankee staff with 9. And Carter just got him. Sprague fouls it again, so he's protecting down 0-2.
Well, I'm sure he's very disappointed on, well, that's redundant to say that on the home run to Joe Carter, but giving Juan Guzman, when he has his good stuff, and so far he has looked pretty good, that big of a cushion can be a very daunting task for the Yankees.
Wells strikes out the side against Sprague, but Joe Carter with the big blow. The Blue Jay first baseman belting a 3-run blast. And at the end of 3, it's 4-0 Blue Jays. Indians protecting their lead in the American League Central. How about the Brewers? They're 3 games back, running second in that division. Charlie Hayes opens the 4th, lines it into right, and it falls in front of Sierra. Sierra actually wound up backing up on that ball. So Hayes is aboard with a base hit. Hayes can hit the ball hard.
Charlie has a long swing, but when he gets a hold of it, he's got sound that you hate to hear from the pitching mound, that loud, perfectly well-struck shot of a base knock, and Sierra kind of getting in no man's land and couldn't go in and couldn't go back and didn't want the ball to bounce over his head.
So leadoff single. Well, there goes the no-hitter.
You know, I was just getting ready to say it.
Bernie Williams takes it high.
Said it in the break and totally jinxed him.
Bernie grounded out his first time. Opened the night at 333. Yankees have lost 7 of 8. They've gone 1-6 against the East.
And even though it is early, that interdivisional play definitely adds up. Of course, every game adds up, but those guys within your division, those are the guys that you have to beat. And that's certainly what they did last year.
A 2-ball, no strike count. Leadoff single. Bernie Williams waiting. And he takes a strike. Here's a situation from the Blue Jays' perspective now. Guzman pitched well through the front 3. They'd like to see him go out, take charge here in the 4th, and shut down the Yankees.
Something you always have to do to keep the momentum, the offensive momentum, and the Blue Jays need a whole lot of that by shutting them down here in this situation. And a lot of good pitchers always like to consider a game, a starting pitcher, in series of 3 innings. They get 1.5 times around the lineup. Going to really concentrate hard for these 3 innings, and then the next 3 innings, that's a separate game within itself. I wonder what Roger Clemens is thinking, because whatever it is, he should be telling everybody else what he's doing.
And a foul ball, so the count is 3-2. Clemens off to this great start, along with, there's Charlie O'Brien.
And they're all gathered around the television set in Oklahoma, taking a look at Charlie O'Brien. And pitchers and catchers always hang out together. Battery mates, whether it's post-game or Pat Henkin is right next to him, trying to hopefully get a little bit of that catching secret and how to analyze a hitter and break it down, although looks a little bit more comic relief there.
This one, ball 4, skips away from Santiago. Hayes advances on the walk and will remain at second base. Well, Guzman handed a 4-run lead, facing the challenge of the middle part of this New York order, and the first 2 men have reached here in the 4th.
Well, he's missed location a couple of times. When that's not a good sign when a catcher sets up inside and you throw it outside. But Juan Guzman's wildness, for the most part, is up and down, not so much in and out. He has a quirky delivery, and one that requires a lot of work to try to repeat. Your consistency comes through being able to repeat your delivery same after same, time after time, just like a good golf swing. And that's where accuracy comes.
Well, that's a great analogy. I mean, you know how hard it is to be a good golfer. That's how difficult it is to be a good pitcher. Just the mechanics of the thing. Forget about arm strength and all that. Here's Tino Martinez. And the pitch misses, ball 1.
Guzman takes a look, and he's questioning fielding Culbreth, and that was a pretty good pitch. It seemed to be right on the borderline of the lower part of the strike zone. You're going to have to get the ball up in the strike zone against guys like Tino Martinez. You're not going to be around very long.
Martinez hit a fly ball to center his first time and is out in front. He was geared. The count is 1-1.
He's definitely geared for that heater, and that's the beauty of pitching, is throwing the opposite pitch that the hitter is looking for. Martinez looking for dead red. Guzman was able to take something off that pitch and get him way out in front. Now, this totally sets him up for the next pitch, because now Martinez says, geez, I got to stay back. But don't stay back too far, because he can throw the ball in the low 90s with very little effort.
And we saw him establish that in the early stages of this game. And he comes back with a strike.
Perfectly dotted the down and outside part of the plate that time. Martinez was wondering if he was going to throw that off-speed pitch again. But this is what is good and gifted about Guzman. Even though he may be in a bit of a jam, he's got the ability to strike out the side in 9 pitches.
This one bounces in. Santiago tries to keep it in front of him, but it rolls up that third base side, and the base runners advance. It's the 3rd wild pitch of the year, charged to Guzman.
And you would think when a ball hits you in the hands, it's good, but sometimes it's bad. He's got the good body angles right here to keep the ball in front, but because the ball bounces into his hands, it deflects sideways.
Guzman set an American League record in '93 with 26 wild pitches. Uncorks one here, and both men now are in scoring position. The 2-2. Full count. Tino Martinez, after a great start, now 2 of his last 24. Still up there with 52 runs batted in those 18 home runs. (3-2), and he got him. Oh, that's a great ability for Guzman.
Nice to have that kind of talent to get yourself into a jam and have the ability to pitch out of it. Threw that off-speed pitch to him twice and saved it for the 3-2 pitch, where Martinez really can't afford to not look fastball. And that's nasty.
So a big strikeout. That's the first out of the inning. And now the ever-intense Paul O'Neill steps in. O'Neill robbed of a base hit in the 2nd inning. And a great play by Alex Gonzalez. And the pitch is down, ball 1. If there was ever a guy who you might actually see sawdust come out of the handle of a bat, it might be O'Neill.
He could be hitting 350 and on an 8-for-10 tear, and hit a line drive at somebody, and it would ruin his week.
Away, 2 balls and no strikes, and he was that way from the day he came up with Cincinnati. He was a fine-looking prospect coming up with the Reds. And they thought maybe he's too intense.
And he's really changed a lot since he was in the National League, where he used to be one of those aberrations, a left-handed high ball hitter. Now with the American League and the breaking balls, he's gearing his sights more towards the lower part of the strike zone.
He's ahead in the count. And takes this one for ball 3.
Where was that?
Guzman wants to know.
Guzman with that good fastball down right around the knees, and Paul O'Neill's pretty tall, but not that tall.
3-0 the count. 2 men in scoring position. And O'Neill takes ball 4. How about that?
Wow.
So the bases are loaded with 1 out. Let's check in with Carl.
Hi, Dwayne. Among the Yankees' many problems is the fact that the Mets are actually doing better than they are. And Carlos Baerga, he continues that trend. This double knocks in 1. It knocks in 2, and the Mets are up 3 on the Expos.
The Mets could actually move into 3rd place in the division with a win. Here, the Yankees have a major threat going. Cecil Fielder steps in. Bases loaded, 1 out. Fielder walked his first time. 3 for 33 in his career against Guzman. So let's see what gives this time up. Guzman starts him with a strike. Bases are loaded. It's Charlie Hayes at 3rd. He's single. Bernie Williams at 2nd. Drew a walk. O'Neill walked to load him. He's over there with 1 out. Strike the count on Fielder.
Cecil having to gear up with that good fastball, got the breaking ball for a strike, and he's definitely looking for that heater.
And a broken bat, ground ball. Second gets away from Brito. Hayes scores. Williams will score. O'Neill will go to 3rd. Guzman had the double play ball, and Brito saw it get away from him.
And that is very demoralizing to a pitcher, especially when he's in a jam with the bases loaded. And to get that double play ball against a tough hitter in Fielder to get you out of the inning, and now you still have runners at 1st and 3rd and some work still left to do.
So Fielder hit the double play ground ball, and Brito is charged with his 2nd error of the year. It's 4-2. Mark Whitten will be the hitter. The Blue Jays, up until the last week, have played outstanding defense, but they've made now 8 errors in this stretch of 6 games. There's a strike to Whitten, and that one cost them 2 runs.
Well, and just like that, after the Blue Jays were able to score 4 quick runs, and Guzman coming out, hopefully trying to keep that momentum alive, has got the Yankees right back into this ball game.
And it's so critical because the Blue Jays just haven't been scoring any runs at all. And they did come up with a 4-run 3rd, and now they hand the Yankees 2 runs right back.
Come on, Juan! And the Blue Jays definitely need one of those breather games when they score a lot of runs, and because they certainly haven't been doing very much of it lately.
And the other side of this, it's going to add to Guzman's pitch count. And here's a guy who's had some shoulder concerns. Pitch is low to Mark Whitten. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, Guzman is always going to throw a lot of pitches because he's a strikeout type pitcher. He pitches deep into counts. He's going to walk some guys, so he's always going to be used to high pitch counts. But it's not so much the number of the pitches, but the intensity with which they're thrown. He's thrown a lot of pitches here in this inning here.
And a looper into center for a base hit. O'Neill will score, and it's 4-3. So the Yankees come right back, capitalize on a couple of walks, an error, and now an RBI single by Whitten, and it's a 1-run game.
Mark Whitten is hard-hitting Mark Whitten, as they say. Still strong enough after breaking his bat to get this ball through the infield. And get himself a single. He's broken the last 2 guys' bats, and the Yankees have scored 3 runs out of it. But of those 3, 2 of those have been through the base on balls. So Guzman has, in a way, led to his own undoing as well.
Santiago makes a second trip to the mound. 59 pitches for Guzman as we play here in the 4th inning. 1 out into the 4th. 22 in this inning alone. Here is Mariano Duncan. Fouls it back. Strike 1. And Joe, you talk about the intensity of the pitches. You know, a pitcher can go to the well once and get out of a jam, maybe twice. The 3rd time around, it's a little too much to ask. Guzman's almost had to go to the well twice in this inning alone.
Yeah, it seems like he's been pitching from the stretch since the inning began and have to make very crucial pitches in critical situations. And that does add up. And right now, it's not looking like Cito Gaston is going to get what he sorely needed, about 8 innings out of Juan Guzman. Because the pitch count is certainly getting up there, and you see that Cito Gaston is probably bristling over that fact.
Well, they lost big to Texas last night, 15-5, and utilized the bullpen more than they would like. So they were looking for some innings out of their starter tonight. 1-2 now. Guzman ahead of Duncan. Blue Jays leading 4-3.
That is an absolutely nasty slider. Don't feel bad, Mariano. Guzman's done that to a lot of right-handed hitters. That's the pitch that he needs to get in play once he's able to get ahead. Because then guys will start chasing and going outside the zone. Mariano Duncan certainly likes the free swing.
The 1-2, and he got him. Boy, that was a tough at bat. Guzman really worked him over.
You know, that slider that backs up and comes over the inside part of the plate. Duncan not wanting to quit on it, but it almost looks like at the beginning that he swings at this to prevent it from hitting it. He wasn't going to be able to do, even if he made contact, a whole lot with that pitch.
You talk about taking matters into your own hands. That's exactly what Guzman did that time.
That ball almost went into his uniform.
Here's the young catcher, Jorge Posada. He grounded out his first time. The 8th Yankee to bat in the inning. Wide, ball 1.
And oftentimes when you're facing the heart of the order, you really get up and your concentration is really fine-tuned for those guys. And sometimes you get guys down to the lower part of the order and your concentration laps a little bit. And those guys can hurt you.
2 men on. Cecil Fielder's second. Mark Whitten aboard at first. Yankees had lost 7 out of 8 coming into this game. Blue Jays scored 4 in the 3rd, and the Yankees have come back with 3 here in the 4th. And there's a strike, so the count is 1-1. Cecil Fielder hit the double play ball. And technically, he'll get a run batted in and an error. Even though it was a double play ball, for scoring purposes, you can't assume the double play, even in a situation such as that one. Whitten has the other RBI in the inning. Just a little wide. 2 balls and a strike. Wells trying to stay loose, doing a little stretching in a long inning.
It has been a long inning, and David Wells at the early part in this ball game certainly wants to get back out there and put a goose egg up there for the Yankees, especially after they've scored 3 runs here, and they're not done maybe.
Guzman coming up close to 30 pitches in the inning now. The 2-1 of Posada. 2-2.
There's that good hard slider that we're talking about. People think it's a split finger. They don't know what it is because the bottom just absolutely falls out of it. But he's got to get ahead to be able to throw that pitch because by and large it's not in the strike zone. And a hitter has to chase, and it's better to throw that pitch with 2 strikes.
He's gone 2-2 with Posada. He lays off this one. Full count.
I can see why the Yankees are high on this guy. He's really getting a lot of good looks up at the plate and laying off some pretty tough pitches. He looks to be very disciplined, which is unusual for a young guy.
Will Torrey with Don Zimmer alongside. Torrey said of this stretch, we got the talent, we just have a dumb manager. He was the co-manager the year last year. Here's Joe Girardi, the veteran catcher on this club, and to his credit, he spends a lot of time with Posada between innings talking about the art of catching. A swing and a miss, foul-tipped strikeout. Guzman got Duncan and Posada to retire the side and keep the lead intact, but it's only one now, 4-3 Blue Jays. Mike Stanley getting into the act for the Red Sox. Here the Yankees have scored 3 to pull back into this game now, down by 1, 4-3, as the Blue Jays come into bat in the bottom of the 4th inning. And Joe, it's a similar situation for Wells as Guzman faced. Now that his club's back in with 3, he wants to shut down Toronto in the following inning.
He's going to be trying to do what Juan Guzman was not able to do, and that's shut these Blue Jays down here and let the offensive momentum hopefully continue when the Yankees come to bat here in the top of the 5th.
Sierra, a ball, no strikes the count. He grounded out his first time. Wells comes back, picks up the corner, and the count is 1-1.
You know, Wells is probably discouraged, thinking that lead was looming large with Guzman pitching the way he's pitching, but now it's a brand new game.
This one is too low. 2 balls and a strike.
And Ruben Sierra said he got some new contacts, the kind of contacts he had in New York for a while.
And a base hit through the hole. Sierra is aboard. A leadoff single in the 4th.
He said he was fitted with some new contacts, and he says they really feel comfortable in his eyes, and he says he is seeing the ball better now than at any point in his career. And he struggled in New York and also in Cincinnati. And if he keeps swinging like that, you might want to get the whole team outfitted with him.
Well, he's only been up here now a handful of games. They like what they saw from the left side the other night because he actually hit the ball the other way with some authority and wasn't pulling off everything. So they're hoping for the best. And here's Benito Santiago, strike 1.
Yeah, I think when he struggled in Cincinnati, the reason they let him go is they signed him for a lot of offensive production to put the ball in the seats, and he wasn't doing that and maybe trying too hard by pulling off the ball. So he seems to have righted himself a little bit better, and you're right, Dewayne, keeping the front shoulder in and moving the ball the other way with some authority.
0-2 to Benito Santiago. A 4-run third for the Blue Jays and a 3-run 4th for the Yankees. Santiago victimized by Charlie Hayes first time up, down to short. Jeter to second, out there and over to first. The Yankees turned the double play, started by the shortstop Jeter. Jeter dunked into Martinez.
David Wells was a bit discouraged after giving up that leadoff single. Was able to come back with a nice breaking ball and get that double play ball. That is a great feeling when you think you're in trouble and you're able to get that double play ball. All of a sudden you look, there's nobody on base and 2 outs on the board.
And what a difference it makes when you get ahead of the hitter after giving up that base hit. They got out in front of Santiago and then threw him the double play ball. Robert Perez, that's a strike. Perez started the 4-run third with a double. his 4th of the year. He's in there in left field. And strike 2. We're seeing a number of the bench players for the Blue Jays tonight, with Wells, the left-hander, out there. Delgado's not in the lineup. Merced not in there. Green not in the lineup. Green thinks he might be gone.
Yeah, and with the acquisition of Sierra, Green doesn't think he's going to play much at all. Of course, Green and Delgado, they view them as being everyday ball players, but yet they've been platooning them so much and not facing them, not having them go up against left-handers. Green has faced one left-hander this year, and it's Randy Johnson. Well, thanks for the favor.
And he jammed him, popped up, foul ball, and down from back of the plate. Posada takes care of this one to retire the side. We're headed into the 5th inning. The Yankees will have the top of the order. Derek Jeter coming up. A one-run ball game from Skydome. Blue Jays leading 4-3 as we head into the top of the 5th. Be sure and join us tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. for coverage of the PGA Tour. This week's stop, Dublin, Ohio, the Muirfield Village Golf Club with a memorial. Tom Watson, the defending champ, and yes, Tiger will be there. Then ABC Sports takes over the coverage Saturday at 4 p.m. along with a final round on Sunday on ABC.
Who is this Tiger guy that everybody keeps talking about?
I don't know. He's a wild guy, though. First pitch, Jeter tries to hold up and takes the pitch for a ball. That's a course that you tell me you've been on.
Yes, I've played that a couple times, and if it's free and it's private, it's me. That is a great, great golf course.
2 balls and no strikes. Well, whoever this Tiger guy is, he's actually human. He didn't win.
You wouldn't have thought it.
Well, what a story. Jeter back into center field and cutting across. Brumfield makes the grab. Jacob Brumfield in center takes care of the line drive. He wasn't necessarily picturesque, but he grabbed it.
Yeah, Derek Jeter has taken a lot of hits away from would-be hitters, and Jacob Brumfield does the same to him. Oftentimes with that line drive is the height of it. Sometimes what you're battling most are the lights in the stadium. He was able to... You're right, Dwayne. It wasn't picturesque, but it was definitely effective.
And here's Charlie Hayes. Pulls away, ball 1. Hayes singled and scored her out of the 4th. A 2 ball, no strike count. Juan Guzman charged with 3 runs in the 4th, although that error on the double play ball was the key. That was an inning-ending double play ball that got away. That's going to be out of play, and the count goes to 2-1. So as that inning stacked up, because you can't assume the double play, 2 of those runs were earned.
And we get a look at one thing that is glaring about that is 32 pitches in the 4th inning. Now that's a lot. That's what I'm talking about. A lot of pitches, intensity in a short amount of time. And every single one of those pitches were important because he was in a jam. And let's see how that affects him as we progress here.
3 balls and a strike. Second time around in a Yankee uniform for Charlie Hayes. He showed up in 1992. He had 18 home runs there and then was drafted by the Colorado Rockies. Line drive, a shot right to the shortstop, Gonzalez. 2 gone. Let's check in at the studio with Carl.
All right, Dwayne, let's check out the Mets and Expos. Baerga already with a couple of RBIs. 3, make it 5. This 2-run shot puts the Mets up 7-zip. It looks like Bobby Jones is going to get his 9th win, Dwayne.
Well, Carl, the Mets had won 7 out of 10. They're tuning up not only for their division race, but for that interleague play.
I'm sure that that's generating a lot of excitement. And as you're well aware of, Dewayne, in New York, they compete for that back page very heavily, those two teams. I've seen a lot of people, not only in the front office, but also on the field, go from one team to the other. Yogi Berra, Gene Michael, Joe Torre right there. And he knows the pressure in the business of handling the media in New York as well as anyone.
Bernie Williams up with the bases empty and two men out. The count's a ball and a strike. A line drive to center and a shot to short for the 2 outs. And it's too high. 2-1. Bernie Williams has emerged to be every bit the player the Yankees had hoped he would be as they developed him through their system. Now 28 years old, the MVP of the American League Championship Series. 3 balls and a strike to count.
Getting a look at Juan Guzman, and we said to look for this earlier in the game. Not really finishing his pitches, and a lot of them are ending up high in the strike zone, and what really will be indicative of when that breaking ball starts to ride up there. And the hitters will tell you in a hurry when you start getting that breaking ball up, because you're usually turning your neck around quick watching it go off the wall somewhere.
And there's where that pitch count figures in. Bernie fouls this one back, and the count goes to 3-2. He's 5 of his last 28, and he's had little spurts, he said before the game, when things seem to be okay for him, but he just hasn't been able to break out recently and be consistent with it.
And you know, that's why these last 10 games, probably, the Yankees haven't been scoring a lot of runs. Both Williams and Martinez are struggling the same way, and Fielder as well.
And he draws the walk. So a 2-out pass, and Tino Martinez will get a chance to swing the bat against Guzman here in the 5th inning.
Juan Guzman again, as we mentioned about finishing, and that ball ending up high and out of the strike zone. Those are the pitches when he is going bad that you see a lot of. Balls up and out of the strike zone. We said his wildness is not so much in and out, but focused on up and down.
Tino Martinez 0 for 2 tonight. Bernie Williams back in.
But Guzman's stuff is so good, so talented, that he has the ability, even though sometimes the things that he's doing is leading to his own undoing, he has the ability to pitch out of them. And that's a nice luxury to have.
And again over to first. Williams 7 of 11 in the running department, and has never been the consistent steal threat that some people thought he might be. For a long time talked about his lack of instinct as a base runner. He's had good speed. This one is upstairs, ball 1. The one thing he really never has had is that quick first step acceleration. He had more of like a distance runner's speed.
Oh, he definitely has good wheels, but there is a knack, and it's not just speed that gets you a lot of stolen bases. It's the ability to anticipate when you're going to get a breaking ball, getting that good jump, and oftentimes the guys with that good first step quicknesses are the ones that you're always saying, well, geez, he got a good jump. And Joe Torre is coming over from the National League, managing there with both the Braves, Mets, and Cardinals, is used to having running lineups. But in the American League, it's more station to station.
Guzman continues to pay attention to Bernie Williams.
And that's one thing that can erase a lot of mistakes and get things going for you offensively, is having a lot of speed in the lineup, being able to take that extra base.
Williams has walked for the 2nd time tonight. Martinez fouls this one straight back. So the count is 1-1.
Ball almost came back into our booth, and everybody just scattered. Why?
giving you plenty of room to operate.
And there's Tim Raines, who is as good a base stealer as there ever was, but inexplicably, for the last 5 years or so, he's pretty much shut it down. He can still run, and I don't know if he's real focused on the stolen base percentage because it is so good.
Again over to first. You know, he's been, his career this year has been resurrected. He spent last year, because of a thumb injury and the hamstring injury, over 100 days on the disabled list. And now he's played pretty well and has made it difficult when they think of Darryl Strawberry coming back. Well, what are you going to do with him? Raines has played well.
And Raines was at a point when Strawberry was going to come back. He had one foot in the grave and another on a banana peel. And Strawberry's injury did not progress like they would have hoped. And as a result, during that span, he played very well and re-solidified himself. That's the beauty of a veteran player, being able to reinvent himself time and time again. And those are the guys that play for many years.
Here Guzman being very careful with both the base runner Williams and the hitter Tino Martinez. Ball 2 popping away from Benito Santiago.
You know, and another reason, it's just my belief that Guzman is a very slow and deliberate worker. And oftentimes, I think that can put your defense into a bit of a funk, especially when you're throwing a lot of pitches, a lot of balls, and you can see 4 walks and 4 strikeouts. That shows that he's getting really deep into the count. Now, if he's working really slow, too, that just brings everything down to a halt.
Yep. And again over to first. Williams is back in easily.
Seems to be very concerned with Bernie Williams.
That's 6 times he's gone over there. Now, here's a guy you should be concerned with. Tino Martinez. And the count is 3-1. Boy, you can see not only with the moves to first base, but he tried to vary his delivery. Took a long time holding the ball that time. So he's thinking a lot about Bernie Williams, and as a result, he's behind in the count 3-1 to the hitter Martinez.
Pitching like hitting is very rhythm-oriented. And for me, I would think that it's very tough to develop rhythm when you're waiting so long in between pitches and throwing over to first. You get rhythm in your command back. That's what you should be focusing on.
There goes Bernie, and a drive hit deep to right center. Way back, and that baby's gone. Guzman dug the hole, and Tino Martinez just filled it with a 2-run blast.
And that's what we were talking about. He was focusing so much on Bernie Williams at first, steadily getting behind on Martinez, where he just threw a room service fastball. And Martinez hits his 19th home run of the year. Focusing on Williams and then just grooving one. That ball went a long way.
And the Yankees take a 5-4 lead. Now Paul O'Neill, and this one is down.
And unfortunately, Guzman learned that Tino Martinez could do a lot more damage than Bernie Williams at first base.
A 2-ball, no strikeout now to this hitter O'Neill.
And you have to keep pitching here. There's not a whole lot of let-up with O'Neill coming in, and their best hitter in the lineup. See, Tino's glad to get off the schneid. He's been struggling a little bit lately.
There's ball 3. So following the home run, Guzman, and you can see in the body language here as he pitches to O'Neill, he is really upset by the home run by Tino Martinez.
Especially after he was spotted a 4-run lead. That's the thing that really disappoints you.
There's a strike. O'Neill was on his way to first.
Wow.
But not quite time to go.
That's a pitch that we have not seen called. Fielding Culbreth has been consistent in not calling that low strike, and there he does on that 3-0 pitch, which oftentimes you'd say the 3-0 pitch is an automatic.
And there is ball 4.
that appeared to be. Now everybody in the Blue Jays dugout is going, save pitch. Where was it?
Well, a walk to O'Neill, and Mel Queen, the pitching coach, is on his way to the mound. 2 outs on 2 line drives. Jeter lined one to center, and Hayes lined one to short. And Bernie Williams walked, and then after Guzman just paid an extraordinary amount of attention to Williams over there, falling behind Martinez. Tino Martinez hit one out. You can see the bullpen outside a little visiting. Not much else going on out there in the bullpen.
And sometimes the outs tell the story as well. You're right, Dewayne, with Charlie Hayes leading off after Derek Jeter's fly ball. Charlie Hayes hitting that hard line drive to shortstop, and the ball by Tino Martinez was laced.
Another walk to O'Neill, and here's Cecil Fielder. 56 pitches in the last 2 innings for Guzman.
I don't think you ought to be worrying about Paul O'Neill right here, because if he gets a little lapsing in his concentration, Martinez hit that ball a long way, but Fielder can do a whole lot more than that.
Two runs home on the home run by Tino Martinez, his 19th home run, and he now has 54 runs batted in.
And will Tino get on that hot streak again that he was on earlier?
Fielder takes a rip and fouls it back. Strike one.
That's the best swing Cecil's had all day. That was a good vintage Cecil Fielder swing. Everybody knows he's always been a great low fastball hitter. And he loaded up for bear right there. He looked like he was ready to come out of his shoes on that one. A good swing.
Ground ball headed to short. Gonzalez will take it to second for the force to retire the side, but not before the damage is done. 2-run score on the home run by Tino Martinez, his 19th of the year, and it gives the Yankees the lead as we head into the bottom of the 5th. It's 5-4 New York. The last time Alex Gonzalez was at the plate, it was the start of something good for the Blue Jays. Not much good has happened since the bottom of the 3rd. They now trail. Gonzalez swings through this one, strike one. Gonzalez doubled home the first run of a 4-run 3rd for Toronto, but the Yankees came back with 3 in the 4th and 2 in the top of the 5th to take a 5-4 lead. 1 ball, 1 strike. Gonzalez, then Brito, followed by the top of the order, Brumfield. Ground ball headed to short. Jeter makes the play to Martinez. Gonzalez got down the line in a hurry. That's the first out. Let's go to the studio and Carl.
Hi, Dwayne. Take our first look at the Brewers and the Twins. Marty Cordova at the plate, and he goes into left. This brings a run home. Brewers second place behind the Indians in the Central, and they are now tied 1-1.
Brewers running second despite having lost a couple games in the last couple days, and 7 of their last 10. Here's Brito. The pitch is in there for a strike. Brito, 25 years old today, and charged with that error. But you know, as costly as that error was, Guzman can't look back at that. There's a ground ball, and Martinez will handle unassisted for the out. Guzman had a part in his undoing after that error. There comes a time when pitchers got to pick up the defender behind him, and Guzman had some problems.
And sometimes you end up doing yourself with both of those runs. Of those 3 runs that did score, came on base on balls. Those are certainly things you're trying to avoid as a pitcher, but David Wells, conversely, has got himself going exactly in the direction that he wants to after the Yankees scored again, coming back, getting 2 quick outs and getting those guys right back into the dugout to hit again.
Top of the order, Jacob Brumfield takes the pitch too low, ball 1.
Both Brumfield and Samuel have been baffled by Wells tonight with 4 strikeouts among them. And let's see if they try to change their approach a little bit.
Fly ball, center field. Bernie Williams on the run. He'll be there waiting and makes the catch to retire the side. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Wells, a 7-pitch inning. On to the 6th, 5-4 New York. 5-4, Yankees leading as we swing into the top of the 6th inning, and Juan Guzman goes back to the mound. Guzman handed a 4-0 lead and now trails by 1. He'll face Mark Whitten to open the 6th inning. Ground ball, and there's a pickup by Brito from second, and the throw back to first in time for the out. 1 pitch, 1 out. Beginning this Friday and continuing on ESPN and ESPN2 through the following Friday from Omaha, the College World Series starting 3:30 with the Stanford-Auburn game on ESPN. Then at 7:30, the defending champion LSU Tigers begin the defense of that title against the Rice Owls on ESPN2. The College World Series from Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha. Mariano Duncan swings through this one, strike 1.
Dwayne, you and I are going to be there in Omaha. We look forward to that.
Yeah, it'll be fun. There are some fellows tonight playing here who might have some rooting interest as well. Joe Carter and Charlie O'Brien were saddened that Wichita State didn't get out of the regional. High fly ball into right field up near the stands and playable as Sierra tried to reach in there and grab it. Some fans down there trying to make some plays of their own.
Now this is a rule that's up to the umpire's judgment. If the fan goes onto the field to get what should be a catchable ball for Sierra, then the batter can be declared out. But as you can see, he went into the stands and broke that invisible barrier there. And as a result, it's just a long strike. And Joe Carter hiding his body, trying to protect that guy from anonymity.
So 2 strikes the count. Into the dirt and a swing and a miss dug out by Santiago. So Duncan, the second out. So 2 quick outs here in the 6th, as opposed to the kind of innings Guzman had in the 4th and 5th. He made 95 pitches through the first 5 innings, Joe.
And you know, a lot of pitchers, regardless of how good they are, you don't see a lot of great things happening after 95 and 100 pitches. However, he was able to throw that nasty slider and get the perennial free-swinging Mariano Duncan out on. You know, the pitch counts get higher. The stuff is not as sharp. As we said in that 4th inning, he threw a whole lot of pitches.
There's Posada. This one is too high. Jorge Posada, 0 for 2 tonight, with a ground ball and a strikeout.
And to follow up on that, Dwayne, there's not a whole lot of pitchers who put up great numbers after the 100 pitch count.
Foul out of play. And Guzman is there now. Made 101 pitches in this game.
That's usually around the latter part of the 8th and maybe into the 9th inning when you see that century mark go over, if things are going all right for you.
Too low. 2 balls and a strike.
But the saving grace with Guzman is because he is the type of pitcher who works deep in counts and throws a lot of punch outs. He's certainly no stranger to high pitch count games. David Cohn, another guy here, much in the same.
Count goes to 2-2. Well, Guzman has been ahead. He got the ground ball from Whitten, struck out Duncan on 3 pitches. Now 2-2 with Posada. Frustrating for the Blue Jays after jumping to a 4-0 lead. Posada is out on strikes. Santiago down to Carter to complete the strikeout. We're headed into the bottom of the 6th inning. That took only 9 pitches, by the way. And Joe Carter, who belted the home run in the 3rd, will bat second in the 6th. It's a 1-run ball game. 1-run ball game from Skydome. Bottom of the 6th inning. Yankees and the Blue Jays coming in 2-3 in the East. The Blue Jays running second, a half game up on the Yankees. Trailing Baltimore. Here's Juan Samuel. And the pitch inside, ball 1. David Wells and Juan Guzman, the pitching matchup. Wells had a very quick fourth and another very quick fifth inning. He is behind Samuel. 2 balls and no strikes. He'll get into the middle of the Toronto order.
There you get a look at David Wells. Not your typical pitcher. Actually is your typical pitcher. Couple of pounds heavier than he would like to be. Bit of a throwback. Got the uniform action tailored for comfort over style.
I like that. Action tailored.
That's a throwback right there.
He picked up a strike to Samuel. The Hells Angels' favorite pitcher.
Yeah, you might think that going into these games are the only times where he takes off that leather jacket, huh?
Well, he said that's the neighborhood in which he grew up. He walks Samuel.
Well, he's true to his school, huh?
That's right. Well, a leadoff walk is not what Joe Torre, Don Zimmer, and Mel Stottlemyre wanted to see, particularly with Joe Carter coming up. Carter belted the home run in the 3rd inning. I tell you, to walk Samuel, that's quite an accomplishment.
That it is. Fortunately, it came on the leadoff hitter in this 1-run game. You certainly can't afford that, especially what Joe Carter did to David Wells his last time up.
And Carter takes a strike. Joe, with that big bat, make sure he has plenty of plate coverage. I'll give him that. It's about a 35-inch bat.
And you talk about hook shots, and that being a term known to basketball, but when Joe Carter is at his best, he's taking that low and outside fastball and hooking it to left field, being able to pull just about anything. That's why sometimes he's vulnerable to that pitch that David Wells just threw, a changeup. He said always been a guy who can drive in a lot of runs, and when he's going good, you'll see him taking that outside pitch and hooking it to the left side of second base.
Carter hitting 3rd in the lineup for Cito Gaston. Started to go and checked in time because Gary Severson down at first. The 3rd spot of the order represents a bit of a change. Carter had hit cleanup and moved to 3rd. Sprague had gone from 5th into the cleanup spot.
And look at that stat there, Dewayne.
Well, he's
certainly
been,
tells the story.
Absolutely. When it comes to home runs and runs batted in, the model of consistency. Pops it up right side. Martinez digging in the foul territory. This will be a nice play, and he makes it. Tino Martinez away from the infield with his back turn makes the grab.
Anytime I see a first baseman do this, anytime I see a first baseman turn and start running and catching the ball, it's always a great play. And this is one of the toughest plays that they have. Didn't even turn the glove over basket style. He still has the hands up like he's catching a ball in front of him, and actually that's what he's doing. But most times you'll see first basemen catch it basket style when they're running away from him. Nonetheless, it was effective and a great play.
That's the first out in the 6th. And here's Ed Sprague. Sprague, nothing out of 2 tonight, including a strikeout. Samuel, the runner over at first. David Wells with a 1-run lead. Getting close to the 80 pitch mark. 5 strikeouts and just the 1 walk. 4 runs, 4 hits.
And that 1 walk is in the person of Juan Samuel on first base, who he walked to lead off the inning. Let's see if he can pitch around that Cardinal sin.
And that's only the 3rd time this year Samuel has walked.
I think Comets come around more often than either Mariano Duncan or Juan Samuel walk.
A ball and a strike.
You get a guy like Greg Maddux pitching and guys like Mariano Duncan and Juan Samuel, guys who love to swing the bats and swing early. Be out of that park in 40 minutes.
But not tonight. Not here. It was 4-0. Now 5-4 New York. Sprague behind in the count, a ball and 2 strikes. There's the left-right breakdown for Sprague so far this year.
What that tells me is he certainly likes the ball coming into him, and with left-handers with the type of swing that Ed Sprague has, he's a high fastball hitter. Most left-handers throw to the outside part of the plate to right-handed hitters, and that's where the barrel of Ed Sprague's bat is, and he likes the ball up and out over the plate, which tells me that's why he's so successful against lefties.
Samuel, the base runner. Boy, at one time he was a great base-stealing threat. Stole over 70 bases his second or third year up, but not at this stage of his career.
And a good guy who's shown the flexibility to be a part-time and platoon player as he gets towards the end of his career.
Strike 3 is called. Sprague out on strikes for the second time tonight. Swinging in the third, looking here in the sixth.
I don't know if Ed was just looking for a fastball here and got locked up, or thought that breaking ball was going to dart inside and off the plate, but it sure did lock him up. Look, I think he kind of knows it already there.
Now Ruben Sierra to face the left-hander David Wells. And this one drops too low, ball 1. Sierra singled in the 4th inning. Well, when he first arrived on the scene with Texas, he hit the ball all over the place with power. And then along the way got into the pull mode. And he's still very strong. This one drops low. Wells behind Sierra, 2-0. Samuel at first, drawing the walk.
You can look at the shoes that Ruben Sierra is wearing. I think something similar that you might see Fred Astaire wearing, tap shoes or something, and the convenience of being able to go out of your uniform and put your street clothes on and never have to change shoes.
He swings and lifts this one down the right side. Martinez will chase this one, but it's going to be just out of his reach. And the count is 2-1. Yeah, that's kind of a Benny Goodman era styling on those shoes, I think. Great. Not only a great baseball analyst, but an observer of fashion and sartorial splendor as well.
You've seen Ruben Sierra's shoes and David Wells' uni.
There goes the runner. The pitch is a strike and no throw. Samuel got a great jump off Wells and has himself a steal. That's his second of the year.
Oftentimes when you do steal off left-handers, you commit to go first move and give up the fact that he's not coming over to first. And that's where you get that big jump, especially a guy like David Wells, who has a high leg kick, probably is about 1.5 seconds to the plate, which is steal territory as far as the coaches who are stopwatching that.
Now a 2-2 count to Sierra. Up the right side, but it's going to be foul and out of play. Well, Sierra has a little added incentive. He's not sure how many other shots he will get. He's been highly traveled the last couple of years, and he knows he has an opportunity with the Blue Jays. They are looking for any kind of potent bat.
He just didn't seem to fit in well with the Yankees and the chemistry of their clubhouse, although Cincinnati said that that certainly wasn't the problem there. They just felt he hit enough home runs. And with Joe Carter and his ability to drive in runs, although he has struggled as of late, and Ruben Sierra's past history hopes to give the Blue Jays some more pop.
A little wide. Wells shooting the corner, missed, and the count is full. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning. A 1-run game. Wells and the Yankees fell behind 4-0, but they have built a 5-4 lead. And the 3-2. Roller to the right side. Martinez takes care of this one unassisted. And we are through 6. On to the 7th. Top of the New York order coming up. And here at Skydome, we're headed into the 7th inning. It's a 5-4 ball game underway. The Yankees and the Blue Jays, both starters, Wells and Guzman, still around. Guzman worked a perfect 6th and will face the top of the Yankee order in the 7th inning as Derek Jeter steps in. Jeter goes after the first one and lines it in the right. Caught there by Sierra. So Jeter looking for his first hit, now 0 for 4. And the first out in the Yankee 7th. Sunday Night Baseball coming up on ESPN. Matt Williams will lead the Indians. Cal Ripken the Orioles coming up 8 p.m. Eastern. John Miller and Joe Morgan on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball Game of the Week. Here on the first of our Wednesday night doubleheader, Charlie Hayes steps in. And the pitch is a strike. Hayes opened the 3-run 4th with a base hit and scored a run. This one is down. A ball and a strike. Hayes playing third base in the place of Wade Boggs. Starting tonight against Guzman, the right-hander. There's Wade.
You don't say too many times that in the same sentence that Wade Boggs has not been hitting.
2 balls and a penny. Just the other day drove in his first run at home at Yankee Stadium this year. And his take on all this has not been to be a problem.
Hasn't been difficult at all. Not trying to start any controversy or anything. He admittedly says he's just not swinging the bat well at all, and right now Charlie Hayes is the better man. Phil Torrey's going to platoon in that position there, and he has 2 capable people in Boggs and Hayes.
Now the count is full, 3-2. Jeter lined out. Hayes up there with Bernie Williams on deck. Guzman, 6 strikeouts and 5 walks. Hayes fouls it out of play. Checking some numbers on Boggs. He was 1 out of 10 on that homestand they just completed. There's Wade. He started. The Yankees have played 50 games, and Boggs has started 30 of those. And at third base, his last one was last week, a week ago tonight. Hayes is out on strike, so he has not started in a week now.
To finish up on Boggs, Dwayne, that you get a look at the high pitch of Juan Guzman, which gets Charlie Hayes to go out of the strike zone, and oftentimes when you really are keen on that fastball and you get it, sometimes you come out of the zone a little bit, and that's what Charlie Hayes did, and he's retired. But Wade Boggs, Chris Chambliss, the hitting coach, said that Wade doesn't believe in a whole lot of drill work, soft toss where you see a lot of hitters doing. He just wants to hit. He just wants to take batting practice, and that's where he feels that he gets his most productive work. And we know all the superstitions and everything, and has a type of swing that's going to a lot of singles on the left side of second base.
One strike to count. He's right now 273 hits away from the 3,000 mark.
And I'm sure that is weighing very heavily on his mind. And he thinks he's in a platoon role. It's going to have to be a lot more patient because it's going to come a lot later than sooner.
Yep. Only Eddie Murray and Paul Molitor have more hits among active players right now. A ball and 2 strikes.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that makes it a slam dunk for him to be in the Hall of Fame when he gets those 3,000 hits?
Well, I'd have to think so. I'd have to think that he's in there even without 3,000 hits.
I have to ask some of those erstwhile sports writers to see what they think.
Yeah. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, the interesting thing about him is when he came to New York, a lot of people thought he might have had it by then, but he's gone over there and won a couple of Gold Gloves. He's started all-star games since coming to the Yankees. So the career was certainly far from over after he left Boston.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that tell you can't run a lick, but he's made himself a
broken bat, and Guzman finally corrals the ball and gets it over to Carter to take care of Bernie Williams. Guzman has retired the last 7 he's faced. Bottom of the 7th, 5-4 Yankees. A 1-run ball game. Bottom of the 7th coming. Benita Santiago will lead off for the Blue Jays against left-hander David Wells. Santiago, Perez, and then Gonzalez do in this 5-4 ball game. As it turns out, both these starting pitchers have given the managers some innings tonight, something they wanted and needed. Pitch is low to Santiago.
Yeah, when Juan Guzman comes out, it will be the top of the 8th, and that's exactly what Cito Gaston hoped he could get out of Guzman was 8 innings, and David Wells has been pitching very well after that home run he gave up to Joe Carter.
He falls behind Santiago, 2-0.
I would bet you if Cito Gaston knew before the game that he was going to get 8 innings out of Juan Guzman, he certainly wouldn't think there'd be 5 New York runs on the board.
Yep. This one is down. As a matter of fact, if you told him Guzman's got a chance to be in this game in the 8th and you'll have 4 runs, will you take that in a minute?
I would have taken that all day long, especially since they're already decidedly above what they have been scoring so far as their average.
Just a piece of that foul, and the count is 2-2. Santiago victimized back in the 2nd inning on a fine play by Charlie Hayes, and then grounded into a double play in the 4th, started with the shortstop Derek Jeter. Another free swinger, so the addition of Santiago to this Toronto lineup in keeping with the number of the hitters already. He is out on strikes. That's the first out in the 7th.
Nothing really fancy from David Wells here. This is hey diddle diddle right down the middle. He's got Santiago wary of either the changeup or the breaking ball, which he's thrown a lot, especially in a 3-2 count in the American League. It seems you get more changeups and curveballs, but oftentimes just that fastball right down the middle will lock him up.
Now Robert Perez. And he drops one over, Wells does, for a strike. Wells has never beaten Toronto, his former club. He's 0-2 lifetime against them. As a matter of fact, the last time he pitched against them and had a decision was back in August of '94. There's a strike. So he's out in front. Danny Plesac, the big left-hander, is throwing in the bullpen for the Toronto Blue Jays.
So maybe that is an indication that Guzman might be coming out. I know the trainers were looking at his thumb in between innings.
Breaking ball in the dirt. Perez started, but he held up in time. The count is 1-2.
This is the call that wow. National League, if you just get your bat off your shoulder, that's a strike, and that certainly is a no-doubter over there, but obviously not called as much in the American League. The rule is no, it's not if you broke your wrists or if the bat crossed the plate. It's based on intent. And from that shot there, it certainly looked like Perez intended to swing.
He'll tell you he intended to hold up.
I got the umpires union on me again. Uh-oh.
2-2 the count. Here we go, and he's out on strikes. So 2 strikeouts to open the 7th inning. Base is empty for Alex Gonzalez.
We've said that David Wells has had 3 pitches working most of the night, and his breaking ball that he's been finishing guys off with 2 strikes has certainly been very effective. And now we're starting to get close to what the Yankees were doing so well last year, is that bridge that they had to John Wetland and Mariano Rivera. And that's been a problem as of late for Joe Torre and the Yankees, that the setup man has not really come forward.
That's right. A ball, no strikes to Alex Gonzalez. This one is down. And it's Tino. Wells has averaged almost 7 innings per start this year, and here he is again, 2 outs into the 7th inning tonight. But you're right, trying to find somebody to work the 7th or 8th to get them to the closer's spot has been a challenge.
Yeah, Jeff Nelson has great stuff. He's just got off to kind of a rocky start. He's been struggling a little bit at 1-4, I believe. And you would think that he would be up to the task, and certainly wants to be the setup man and wants to be given that role and title. And Rivera has settled down into the closer's role after starting a little rough in the beginning.
Out of play, and they count Jones to 2 balls, 2 strikes. Problem is Rivera recently hasn't had much of a chance to save games.
That's right.
You know, they were happy. They think Mike Stanton, the left-hander, he gave them a couple of pretty good innings against Baltimore, and they said, well, sure, it was kind of a strange game, but they're hoping that he might be able to fill that role with the way he's thrown the ball the last time or 2 out.
His stuff certainly is good enough to do that, and he's a prototypical setup guy, can throw a lot, likes to work a lot.
A full count with bases empty and 2 outs here.
All right, he just threw the breaking ball. He's got the full count to an aggressive hitter in Gonzalez. He can throw 1 of 3 pitches. How about another breaking ball?
Why not? Here it is, 3-2. Nope. Chopped to short. Jeter makes the play to retire the side. 1-2-3. Go the Blue Jays in the 7th inning. Tino Martinez. Welcome back to Toronto Sky Dome. We have a 1-run ball game with the Yankees out in front with Joe Magrane, Dewayne Staats. Great to have you with us here tonight for this contest. Well, it's been good in one respect for the Blue Jays. They did score 4 runs. Game's not over, and they did get 7 innings out of their starter.
Juan Guzman did throw a lot of pitches, and as a result came out of the ball game, and now he turns it over to Dan Plesac, and let's see if he's going to be able to hold them and get the Blue Jays a chance to score.
Well, the numbers on Guzman for the night: 7 innings, charged with 5 runs, 4 of those earned, just 3 hits. He walked 5 and struck out 7. And Dan Plesac takes over. Plesac, the tall lefty.
We were talking about veterans who resurrected themselves. Well, Dan Plesac is a great example of that. Pitching well in Pittsburgh last year, coming over to Toronto. And the statistics certainly don't indicate that, but I was talking about arm strength. Somewhere along the line, I don't know if his arm went dead or whatever, but he's back really blistering the ball again, throwing hard. Well, 92 miles an hour.
That's right. The first pitch to Martinez came in at 92 as he fouls this one away. And what's happened with Plesac in terms of his numbers happened to a lot of short relievers. You go out, you accumulate some positive outings, and you have an earned run average of about 1.5. And then you have 1 outing when you give up 3 or 4 runs, and all of a sudden your earned run average balloons to 4 or 5. But he is happy, as you point out, Joe, with the way he has been throwing the baseball. And, well, you know, if you're left-handed and if you're healthy and can throw a strike, you got a chance.
And you forgot having a beating heart and left-handed, you got a chance.
An 0-2 count.
He's just not an ordinary left-hander. He can rush it up there with the best of it.
A ball, 2 strikes. We're in the 8th.
Plesac is a guy who has served as a closer.
Rolls it foul outside of the third base bag.
Graham Lloyd is another guy who the Yankees thought were hurt when he was acquired from the Brewers, but pitched very well in postseason for them, and they're very happy to have him. The way he's been handling left-handed hitters, both Plesac and Lloyd are as good as any on left-handed hitters.
Martinez fouls another one, staying alive against Plesac. A ball and 2 strikes. Willie Randolph coaching third for the Yankees. He really was the anchor to their infield from about the mid-70s to the late 80s. A fellow who at some point might entertain the idea of managing. And Jose Cardinal, who's been around for a long time, a copper foul out of play. As you know, Cardinal came to this country from Cuba, and right at the end of the 50s when he signed on with the San Francisco Giants. So there was a group of about 20 to 25 outstanding baseball players in Cuba. Fidel Castro said to them, if you go to the United States, will you come back? And they all said, yes, of course. Cardinal said one guy went back. That was it. There's a base hit into right field for Tino Martinez. A leadoff single, and we'll check in with Carl Ravitch. Carl?
Hi, Dewayne. Close game here. Not a lot of scoring. Reds, Phils, Curtis Goodwin in center, Deion Sanders tending to personal matters. Mike Lieberthal trying to score. He cannot. The Reds do add another. They are on top 2-0 now in the top of the 8th. Dewayne?
All right, Carl, some action there in that Phillies-Reds contest. The Cincinnati Reds, well, what a struggle it's been as they try to climb out of the basement in the Central Division. Paul O'Neill takes one too high a ball. When you talk about managers being tested and trying to be patient, Ray Knight has just been going out of his mind in Cincinnati.
And if he continues to do that, it'll put him right up with Marge Schott. Did you say that, Dewayne, or did I?
That was your line. I want to give credit where credit's due. A ball and a strike that comes to
just in case we get in trouble.
Well, they had expected better things in Cincinnati. And as you mentioned a couple innings ago with Sierra, when they let him go, there was talk about letting a lot of veteran players go over there. O'Neill takes it high, and the count is 2-1.
Yeah, because Ray Knight said, we can just back up the truck with a lot of these veteran players, and let's just see what kind of young guys we have and see where we are and where we need to be in the next couple of years as far as rebuilding. There was just a scant mentioning of rebuilding, and I don't think it made a lot of people happy.
And the problem there is that the Reds don't have an abundance of minor league talent who they feel they could bring up and help the club right now.
And they have, you know, Marge Schott has trimmed just about every part of the organization. In fact, she was quoted as saying when she let go a whole bunch of her scouting crew was, all they do is watch a bunch of games. So if that's with that cavalier type attitude and one failed sweep, I wonder if she's put a lot of money into the farm system, because you know the teams that are good year in and year out have strong farm systems, and maybe we'll go out and get a player here or a player there to round out the puzzle.
And the high-priced economics of the game now, the farm system is more important than it's ever been. Liner into left. Perez is there to make the catch off the bat of Paul O'Neill. Back to first goes Martinez.
Montreal is a perfect example about their farm systems. They can't keep players there when they become free agents, but they just keep reloading with good young players. And this Vladimir Guerrero is certainly an exciting player.
And we have another pitching change in the offing here. Plesac faced two left-handed hitters. Martinez single and O'Neill line to left. And now with Cecil Fielder due up, we'll see the right-hander. We'll take a break in this one-run game, 5-4.
Check the Brewers and Twins. Scott Carl on the hill, not what he wanted to do. Ron Coomer's fourth. Two batters later, Darren Jackson steps up to the plate for Minnesota. And a close game, not so close anymore. 3-1 right now. Twinkies are on top, and they are into the bottom of the seventh inning. They continue to bat. More pressure for the Yanks. The Mets win again. Bobby Jones, the NL's first 9-game winner.
And here another pitching change for the Toronto Blue Jays. Paul Quantrill takes over and throws a strike to Cecil Fielder. And the Blue Jays checking their P's and Q's from the bullpen. First Plesac and now Quantrill. 1 on, 1 out in the 8th. It's upstairs to Fielder.
Quantrill is one of the best pitchers out of the Blue Jays bullpen so far this year, and his calling card is a great late sinking fastball, and that's the type of pitch that can have some good success against Cecil Fielder if he throws it on the inner half.
Tino Martinez opened with the base hit. He's at first. And a strike call. 1-2.
You see the Blue Jays when they're at their best in winning championships. Look what they were doing, closing 773% of their games. And you look at the 97 numbers. And that, coming out of spring training, the Blue Jays thought that was going to be their strength, with Mike Timlin being their closer. And it's been the closer by committee for the most part.
Yeah, this staff, led by Henkin and Clemens. Beyond that, they're looking for some kind of consistency. They got 7 innings from Guzman tonight, but let a 4-run lead get away from them, and now they trail by a run as they play in the 8th inning.
We thought in the beginning that it is a 2-man band, but Blue Jays certainly thought it was going to be big 3 with Guzman, Clemens, and Henkin. That would be as good as big 3 staff as anybody next to Atlanta, perhaps.
Field is still alive with a foul ball out of play, and the count is 2-2. We've had only 8 hits in this game. 9 runs, 8 hits. An error has figured prominently in the scoring. Quantrill misses outside, and it goes all the way to 3-2.
Sometimes I know relievers are very used to it, but the thing that you have to be able to do as a reliever is to come in and throw strikes right away, and sometimes it takes 2 to 3 pitches before you get adjusted to how the mound is that day, whether that pitcher that was in there before you dug a big hole where you land. It's a lot of variables.
Right side and off the glove of Brito. Everybody's going to be safe. Brito could not glove it as he ranged far to his left. Fielder's aboard, and he's going to be lifted for a pinch runner.
Still waiting on what the official score is going to rule that, but that is a play that Tilson Brito would tell you that he should have made.
They're going to give him a hit. Oh, a base hit, and now Scott Pose will run at first base, taking over for Cecil Fielder. And here's Mark Whitten. 2 men on with 1 out. Ground ball, and that's going to go through the middle. Martinez on his way to the plate. The throw up line. The run scores. And the Yankees will have 2 more men in scoring position. Well, Mark Wharton, who had driven in a run in the 4th inning with a looping single in the center, pops one through the middle this time to chase home another run.
The Yankees are doing exactly what they want to do, is to put a little cushion and a little distance between Toronto getting the 2-run lead and making things look better for Mariano Rivera. First pitch fastball, looking for it, and as Witten is, and he's able to drive it up the middle.
Now Mariano Duncan. The infield is in.
See, Tino's got those short legs moving pretty quickly as he's trying to score, and the throw wasn't going to get him.
Quantrill throws this one by Duncan, strike 1. So a single by Fielder, lifted for the pinch runner. Pose is now at third with Witten moving into second as the throw went through. And second and third. A run home to make it a 2-run game. 6-4 New York. Ground ball, second base. He's coming to the plate, but the throw is a little wide. Santiago gets the tag, though. Santiago brought the tag across the plate. The throw from Brito was to the first base side, and Santiago brought it back to get Pose.
Santiago has always been a guy who likes to sweep tag at plays at the plate, so he gets up in front of home plate. Oftentimes that can backfire on you. But Pose trying to sneak the arm in there, and Colbreth making the correct call. A wide hook slide, which is kind of in vogue now in baseball, and trying to sneak that arm in around the tag.
Well, that's a nice job by Santiago.
The intent was good, but Benito Santiago took enough of the plate to make Pose go wide, and that's why he was able to tag him.
Fastball to Posada is too high, a ball 1. Runners on the corners now, first and third. Mark Witten, the runner at third, and aboard at first base. Mariano Duncan on a fielder's choice. Jorge Posada. Oh, there's some heat. The count is a ball and a strike.
Boy, it's a nice luxury to have, to be able to throw that late heavy sinker down in the strike zone over 90 miles an hour, and then also to throw that 4-seamer up there. Sometimes that's 2 pitches, 2 different pitches right there, and that'll do you sometimes one time around the lineup. You don't even need that breaking ball.
And a strike.
You can see that ball has got some late movement on it. 94 miles an hour. That's as hard as anything that we've seen thrown tonight.
So a 2-run lead for the Yankees, and their left-hander David Wells. Wells has a couple complete games this year. And a swing and a miss to take down Posada. But the Yankees come up with a run. We're headed into the Toronto half the 8th, 6-4 New York. 6-4, the Yankees lead the Blue Jays. David Wells goes back to the mound. Wells, with 7 innings under his belt, has retired 6 in a row. Has not given up a hit since the leadoff single to Sierra way back in the 4th inning. So just 4 hits total, 4 runs, 8 strikeouts, and 1 walk.
And after the home run by Joe Carter, the only thing he's really had to worry about is that his jersey hasn't come untucked.
Here's Brito, Dilson Brito, looking at a strike. New second baseman in the game, Luis Sojo. The former Blue Jay now takes over at second for Duncan for the Yankees. Fly ball, right center field, closing, and O'Neill will play it on 1 hop. A leadoff single. Well, Brito's on for the second time tonight. He was hit by a pitch in the 3rd.
O'Neill, knowing Williams is circling as a safety valve behind him, makes a nice little pickup there. Able to keep it from going by him, and when giving Brito a chance to perhaps go to second base.
Well, there's Brumfield, the top of the order. He is 0 for 3 with a couple strikeouts tonight. And the pitch is down, ball 1.
Down. I would have loved to have that pitch. But Culbreth has been consistent in not calling that, I don't want to say knee-high strike, but not calling that pitch down.
1-0. The other way, out of play. And the count goes to a ball and a strike. Action in the Yankee bullpen. Nelson on the right side of your screen. Rivera, the right-hander, on the left side of the screen.
Rivera can be nasty to both left-handers and right-handers, but I'm sure he has the idea, Joe Torre does, to get Jeff Nelson in there to get a couple quick outs, so Rivera doesn't have to get what looks like maybe 5 outs.
And a pop fly short left. Jeter going out there for it, and he'll make the grab for the out. First out here in the 8th, and we'll check in at the studio with Carl.
Hi, Dwayne. Indians Royals. Chad O.J. was mowing him down. And then he got into trouble here. Tom Goodwin goes to the gap, one hopping over the wall. It scores 2. Biff Roberts and Chili Davis. O.J. is out, and the Indians and Royals are tied at 3.
I'll tell you, Joe, you can't count out Kansas City. They've put together an interesting club.
Bob Boone has a National League style ball club over there where they're moving guys over, hitting and running, bunting early in the ball game. Jay Bell's a good sacrifice man as anybody out there, but he's been hitting great. We talked about the big 3 pitching. The Royals, in a very underrated fashion, have pitched very, very well so far.
Well, they come back to draw even with the Indians tonight. Here, Juan Samuel steps in with a man at first and 1 out. Missed ball 1. He's wondering where the location of that pitch might have been.
And you can see the weary eyes of Joe Torre as he looks to his bullpen and wonders why they've been so ineffective. Rivera obviously has done a very credible job as their closer. And again, the Yankees, that was a strength for them last year. What made them special is the great setup job that Mariano Rivera did to lead and set the table for John Wetland, pretty much bringing it into like a 7-inning ball game.
That has not been the case this year. They're looking for somebody to get the game to the closer. A 2-ball, no strike count. Samuel waiting, spread out up there. Skies this one to the right side. Paul O'Neill grabs it for the second out.
If it would work out perfectly, what Joe Torre wants is for David Wells to retire this guy, and he'll be out of the game, and in will come Rivera. As Joe Torre said in his years in managing, actually he's going to go to him right now, it looks like. So Mariano Rivera is going to have to get 4 outs.
So Joe Torre pops out of the dugout with Joe Carter due. Wells has made 113 pitches. His season's high is 131.
And he's already indicated that he wants Mariano Rivera. Or Nelson was down there throwing. I don't know if he's continuing to throw. But after Joe Carter hit that home run earlier in the ball game, David Wells is not going to get a chance to face him again.
So 7 2/3 tonight for David Wells. Rivera gets the call. 6-4 New York. Well, there it's a 2-run game. 6-4. David Wells, 7 2/3 tonight. Leaves with a chance to pick up his 5th win of the year. And he gives way to Mariano Rivera.
Mariano Rivera was as dominating pitcher as there was in baseball, and now as he moves into the closer's role with the departure of John Wetland, you look at the numbers and still a whole lot of punch-outs. He's got that really relaxed rocking chair type motion, and the ball just seems to jump out of his hand.
He has not had a save opportunity since he picked up his 14th on the 14th of May. That was at Minnesota. He will inherit Brito, the base runner at first, with 2 outs, and he faces Joe Carter. Joe 0 for 3 against Rivera. Strike 1.
And that was right by Joe Carter, and Joe Carter's going to have to start and cheat a little bit earlier to catch that fastball. You can see he made the adjustment to being the closer after a couple of outings and has been dominating since then.
Carter takes it down and wide. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Joe Torre has always said once he goes to his closer, that's when he stops managing. And it's simply in the hands of that guy right there. He looks a little bit more relaxed now. He's done everything he needs to do. And so is that guy.
A little close. 2 balls and a strike.
Talking about David Wells again, you think that he gave up 4 runs, but he really did do an outstanding job to not have the wheels fall off after that. He came back after that home run and just pitched beautifully and gave his team a chance to develop some momentum and score 6 runs.
Carter fouls it, got a piece of it out of play, and the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes. Brito opened with a base hit here in the 8th inning. He's at first with 2 gone. The runner accountable to David Wells. Now Rivera, the 27-year-old right-hander out of Panama. Takes the count all the way to 3-2 on Joe Carter. The opponents last year hit 189 against Rivera. Right-handers only 157. 3-2 to Carter. And Carter walks. That pushes Brito up to second. And brings on the cleanup hitter, third baseman Ed Sprague.
Not much that Joe Torre can do but sit and watch. Rivera tried 3 times to get Carter to climb the ladder upstairs, and Carter showed good discipline in taking that walk. Should be an interesting matchup here with Sprague and Rivera. Sprague is a high fastball hitter, and Rivera's a high fastball pitcher. Great challenge.
Sprague looking for his first hit tonight is 0 for 3. And the pitch is upstairs, ball 1. So the Blue Jays have 2 men aboard. Second base, Brito. First base, Carter. A 2-run game, and it's down.
You know, it would be hard to tell with a guy with such a relaxed motion like Mariano Rivera has that if he is overthrowing, but I think basically he just really hasn't quite adjusted to the mound yet, and Mel Stottlemyre is going to give him just a little bit of time and maybe has spotted something mechanically, and I think not. I just think that sometimes it takes more than 2 or 3 pitches to adjust to the mound, and obviously has not done that yet because he doesn't look very comfortable out there. The locations that he has thrown his pitches have missed badly.
So Stottlemyre out there. Soho in from second base, and Posada out from back of the plate. And just in case there's any translating needed.
Who's doing the translating?
Well, you've got the #1 translator and then the backup.
Okay.
Now Ed Sprague ahead of the count, 2-0. And he drives it back into right field. O'Neill is back in front of the track, and a step onto the track. He makes the catch to retire the side. The Blue Jays threaten, pick up a hit, a walk, and leave 2. will go into the ninth. The top of the order due for New York. 6-4 New York. Joe can still pound that baseball as the Indians come roaring back. Here, it's a 2-run game, and the Blue Jays go to the bullpen again. It's going to be Mike Timlin.
Mike Timlin, who's come in, was crowned the closer starting the year, and his first opportunity came on opening day with a 1-1 lead against the White Sox, and he gave up a home run and to lead off the 9th inning.
Rivera came on and got Sprague to end the bottom of the 8th, and David Wells thinks things are okay.
He knows that that man still out there in Brito represented his run, and the ball almost went off the wall. You're sitting on the edge of your seat when you have a lead, and that other guy is in there, and I'm sure he feels that this game is in very good hands when Mariano Rivera is out there.
Well, it's Timlin's job to keep the Yankees right where they are and give the Blue Jays another shot in their last shot in the bottom of the 9th. Timlin will be facing the top of the batting order, Derek Jeter, and then Hayes, followed by Williams.
And Timlin in there now for the Blue Jays was irked when Cito Gaston said he's just going to go closer by committee. And that was supposed to be Timlin's job to start the season, but he has struggled, and sometimes a great setup guy, and sometimes getting that last out is a little bit different than setting up.
And the first pitch, a swing and a miss by Derek Jeter. Game 2 of our Wednesday night doubleheader coming up following our game. The Rangers and the Mariners. Randy Johnson scheduled a pitch against the Texas Rangers. How about that? The Rangers were here last night. Complete that game, fly all the way to Seattle. Hello, it's Randy Johnson.
Little jet lag, and then you got to face a guy who's throwing close to 100 miles an hour. That's certainly not a nice luxury. And again, the travails of those schedule makers.
A ball and a strike to count to Derek Jeter. 1-2 over that pitch.
Wow, that was nasty. It's a nice luxury to be able to throw in the mid-90s and still make the ball sink like that. That is still what pitchers will tell you. It's not this curveball, not the slider or whatever. A great, good moving fastball is still the toughest pitch for a pitcher to hit.
The 1-2. Maynard leading away from that pitch, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Jeter he's moved all around in the lineup. He's been in the 2-hole. He's bat 7th. He's led off.
And he's been unflappable. A young player, last year's Rookie of the Year in the American League. Great poise, great concentration up there. Stays alive, fouling this one away.
You know, Jeter is just getting a piece of those nasty sinkers down and in, although sometimes you think that he's getting a piece of it, you have to throw something else, but there's no need to try anything different. Those pitches are nasty, and Jeter is really having to defensively try to get the bat on the ball.
Timlin saved 31 games last year in 59 appearances. Jeter again got his bat on the ball to foul it. Count holding at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Timlin, 31 years old. Facing the leadoff man, Jeter, in the 9th in a 2-run game. And Jeter takes this one close, but ball 3. Full count. The Yankees added a run in the 8th inning, driven home by Mark Whitten, and made it a 2-run game. Still, the Blue Jays managed to mount a threat in the 8th. There's a little tap. Timlin with the underhanded toss to Carter for the first out.
That was a great sequence of pitching by Mike Timlin, not giving in to Jeter at all and throwing that nasty sinker, and just got him right in between the thumbs, as the pitchers like to say. you watch him how he handled Jeter in that sequence, you wonder why he's been struggling. Because those were a nasty that was a nasty sequence of pitches that Timlin threw to Jeter.
And now Charlie Hayes steps in. He has a run scored following a base hit to open the 3-run fourth. And he looks at a strike. Blue Jays in the bottom of the ninth due to have Ruben Sierra lead off, followed by Santiago, and then the left fielder Robert Perez is due. A 1-strike count to Charlie Hayes. He moves out of the way, and it's 1-1.
When you're throwing that hard as a pitcher, 96 miles an hour, as you saw right there, a hitter, especially with the balls moving that well too, a hitter really has to cheat and open up on the front side and commit a little bit early. And that makes the outside part of the plate vulnerable.
And this one is wide. 2 balls and a strike. Timlin worked against the Yankees a week ago tonight. Picked up a strikeout to secure Roger Clemens' 200th win. Made a stint, a 3-inning stint since then against Anaheim. Wow, look out. That pitch exploding on Charlie Hayes as he has it deflect off his bat foul.
So backup slider coming in on Charlie. It came out of Timlin's hand like a watermelon seed.
Charlie already sports that protection.
Looks
I'm
a
not
little
sure
bit
that
like,
would have been enough.
yeah, he's got that helmet looking a little bit like former Dolphins field goal kicker Garo Yepremian.
He is 2-2 and got him. Well, you can excuse Charlie Hayes for that strikeout against Timlin after that last pitch.
That's twice in his last 2 at-bats that Charlie Hayes has went out of the strike zone with 2 strikes, and it looks like if you're going to leave the strike zone, you best not do it against a guy who's throwing in the mid-90s.
Well, impossible to catch up with it up there anyway.
Most definitely.
2 outs. Base is empty. And here is Bernie Williams. Williams has walked twice and scored 2 runs, and Timlin throws it by him. Strike 1. Blue Jays at one point led 4-0. The Yankees have scored 6 unanswered runs. A 3-run fourth, a 2-run fifth, and 1 in the 8th. Joe Carter hit the big home run in the 3rd to give the Blue Jays their early lead. That 3-run blast. That followed an RBI double by Alex Gonzalez. Timlin has the jump on Williams. 2 strikes. An 0-2 count. Cito Gaston saw his club come in with a half-game lead on the Yankees, running second in the East. They have 1 shot left. Bernie Williams out on strikes to retire the side. 2 strikeouts and a 1-2-3 ninth for Mike Timlin. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Ruben Sierra will lead off. He'll be followed by Santiago and then Perez in this 2-run game. Bottom of the 9th inning. And another hard thrower. Mariano Rivera's on the mound to work the bottom of the 9th after closing out the 8th. He got the final out. Got Ed Sprague on that fly ball to deep right. Here in the bottom of the 9th, he'll face Ruben Sierra. The Blue Jays need 2 to keep it going and 3 to win it. A tall order against Rivera. Foul ball out of play by Ruben Sierra. Strike 1.
Let's see if Rivera purposefully used those warm-up pitches to readjust to the mound, because his command was off last inning. He was able to get out of it, retiring on a fly ball to the track from Ed Sprague.
Sierra takes it down and in. A ball and a strike. Blue Jays were able to put 2 men board in the 8th inning. Sierra looks a popper, foul. Hayes from third chasing it, but no room. And the count is a ball and 2 strikes. Hayes couldn't catch up with it. The ball actually popped back out of the stands, and Tim McClellan, the third base umpire, demonstrated why he's an umpire. Bad hands down there. So he's keeping those hands warm now.
Tim's a big man. He's 6'6". He should have large hands.
Too high. 2 balls and 2 strikes to count. Rivera pours that one by Ruben Sierra for the strikeout.
You can often tell how hard a pitcher is working by looking at his face when he releases the ball. And you can see with that relaxed rocking chair delivery that good mid-90s fastball comes pretty easy to Mariano Rivera. He doesn't have to work too hard to do it. That's why it sneaks up on the hitter.
Here's Benito Santiago swinging and missing, strike 1.
That is just pretty to watch. Just loosey-goosey, and the ball just jumps out of his hand.
His pitches don't seem as big as a baseball is.
Oh, they look a lot smaller. He's throwing aspirin tablets up there, as they used to say in the old days.
Wow. Strike 2 as Santiago quickly falls behind.
Now, there are guys that do throw harder than him, but not with just this loosey-goosey, lazy type delivery and minimum effort. And that's what makes it so difficult for the hitter, because loosey-goosey, all of a sudden, bam, the ball's right on top of you.
Quick work of Benito Santiago. 2 strikeouts in the inning. Well, I guess he's made the adjustment to the mound. And Orlando Merced will be called upon to pinch hit for Robert Perez.
Rivera again, nice and easy, relaxed, and that ball is pretty much by Benito Santiago. Straight over the top. He's going to have a challenge in facing Orlando Merced. Orlando Merced coming from the National League, Pittsburgh, a noted great fastball hitter. Everybody knows Rivera has a great fastball to show him. Let's see what happens.
Well, Rivera trying to pick up his 15th save. He will have converted 12 straight. Trying to save this one for Wells. It would be his 5th win to improve his record to 5-3. A ball, no strikes to count to Merced. Guzman would be the losing pitcher, dropping his record to 3-5. Upstairs.
And Orlando Merced has been struggling, and he gets the task of having to face Mariano Rivera.
The 2-0. And a fly ball short right. O'Neill coming in. He's there to make the catch. And that will do it. A 1-2-3 inning for Rivera, who saves it for Wells as the Yankees have beaten the Toronto Blue Jays 6-4. Coming up next, the Rangers and the Mariners in Game 2 of our Wednesday night doubleheader. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Now for Joe Magrane, Dewayne Staats saying so long from Toronto. Let's go to Seattle to Bob Carpenter and Kevin Kennedy.